Shall we go and put this into... We have got a flight plan already, but we could go and throw it into Simbrief. I'm not sure if this aeroplane has Simbrief though, so I'm not sure if it's worth bothering with at this point in its flight schedule. Yes, it does. So let's go over to Simbrief before we do this. So bear with me for a moment. So we're going to open the browser up, go to simbrief.com, accept, log in, sign in with Google. Hopefully it remembers who we are. Hurrah! So, new flight. We'll call... does anybody know the ICAO code for Flybe, even though they don't fly in Australia? That's where we're flying, so... I'll just put virtual flight. We are departing from Kingsford Smith, which is YSSY to YBRK. YSSY to YBRK. If you've never done this before, this is Simbrief. It will generate us an operational flight plan. So we are flying an Embraer E195. So it suggested that route, but I'm going to actually put in the route that I want to fly, if that makes any sense. So if we go in here, flight plan, copy the route to the clipboard. This is the same one that I've just put into. Blimey, what's noisy out here? Something in the cloud above us, isn't there? The cloud has just come in the last few minutes. There's a huge storm passing over the runway. See the traffic moving around from FSLTL. There's aeroplanes everywhere. I think there's a few go-arounds happening because of it. You can see lights twinkling off in the distance. It's going to be interesting. So, analyze route. Route is valid, hurrah, well it should be. So, generate flight plan. That will obviously give us our operational flight plan. So, will that work inside the aeroplane? So you can see that rain is just starting to hit us from the cloud that's sweeping over the runway. It might clear up, you never know. Oh, here we go, we can import it from Simbrief. Let's see what happens. Data import success. And then say wallop. So, it just puts a line in. It's not tremendously useful, but it's better than nothing, I guess. Does that mean the charts will be... No, it's not going to hint the charts up, so... What did we say it was? YSSY, of course it is. For Kingsford Smith. So it'd be useful just to see the taxi routes, wouldn't it, really? Where are we? Parking bays. So we're over here somewhere. Can we show our position? I'm not sure how clever this is. Probably not. But I know where we are anyway. If we have a look on LittleNavMap, you can see we're at the north end of the runway. So we're going to be taking off runway 07. So once we get going, got to taxi round. Okay, so let's get the E195 up and running. So control and... Actually, before we do that, let's get things done in the right order at least. So ground, GPU, and then control and 8 will take us overhead, and batteries can come to on. use the GPU, seeing as we have it. So wait for things to boot up. We're in the cockpit. Guten Abend from John Crichton. Right. So we just give it a few seconds for things to get going, and I'm reading my checklist while we're waiting for that. So back overhead, we're going to go and turn the APU on. So Control 8, APU's over here. So we should get confirmation of that happening down here. We do. I think it will automatically kick over and disconnect the ground power as soon as the APU is up and running, to be honest. So passenger lights, while we're waiting for that, we need to arm them. So it's here. I have a cup of coffee already at the ready. I'm actually a bit further advanced today than I was the other day. So down to the MCDU actually. So Control 4, sorry, and then go ident. Can we do it that way? No, we have to go via nav route, and then we've got this. This is interesting that it puts in the departure automatically for you. We're going to YBRK, which is Rockhampton. So Yankee Bravo Romeo Kilo. It's quite a long flight. So then next page, and we're going to put in the routing this time. So we're going to make sense of this. You can find this on the briefing, obviously. You can read it here. Look, so it's got the Psi 3 standard instrument departure, which takes you to. Yeah, it doesn't take you to a particular waypoint, look. So your first actual waypoint is Olsom. So we're direct to Olsom. And then 252 takes us to Upnex. Yeah, so in the aeroplane you go, Olsem is the first part of our route. So it does direct Olsem. And then this is going to be interesting because we're going to have to push this down each time. So then H252 to Brisbane. So H252, let's see if it will let us do it. That's annoying. I wonder if to put the waypoint in first. We may hit the problems with this aeroplane immediately then, with it being at early access and maybe the routing not working as it might. I wonder if we could pull this in from Simbrief actually. Should we have a look in the menu? Flight plan maybe? Somewhere hidden in it? I don't think so. Or we could, I don't really want to program it all directly into here, this is the problem. So let's go to here. Nav. Departure. Yeah, this is annoying, isn't it? So it's got direct to Olsom at the moment, but it won't let us go and put the next one in. I wonder if we can get away with putting Brisbane straight in. So put BN in. Clear. Yes. BN. Let's put that on top of that, see if it will let us. Oh, it will! So then we can just change the direct to H252. If it understands it. No, it doesn't. That's really annoying. Because obviously it's going to miss out all the intermediate waypoints. I guess we could program them in and do lots of directs, but maybe it just doesn't understand airways yet. Oh, I wonder if it will if we select these. Can we? No, there's no menu leading off of them, look. Damn. This is what you get for playing with early access aeroplanes. So anyway, we're going via Brisbane. Let's just do this the quick and easy way then. So we've got Old Sem, then Brisbane. So it's a fairly straight line. Let's put in the major points on it. So we want the WLM waypoints. WLM. Now I don't think this is going to deal with the waypoints being in the wrong places. This is going to be fun, isn't it? Should we do this on the flight plan page instead? So between Alstom and Brisbane we want to put WLM, because I think at least on this page it will tell us about duplicates. We want the... Now, to get... because there's two with the same code, we can check 324812. It's that one. And we're just going to look for the major points to insert, seeing as it doesn't understand airways. So that's in a straight line along H252 until it gets to Gommel at the Gold Coast. So this is really just hacking the system to do a rudimentary flight plan now. So we'll put that ahead of Brisbane as well. And then we're at Brisbane. Okay, so following Brisbane we go to Bixad. So this is kind of the terrible way of doing this, but it's what we have. So Bixad. Then Gudso. Then Tapet. It's funny, after you've played with planes in Flight Sim for long enough and made do with whatever they've got. So Lofa, you kind of learn ways around things. It's Lofa, and then Oldib. And I'm guessing that will, if we don't put Dadbo in, we'll get a discontinuity, which is fine. So we just need to put in the departure and the arrival. So departure is the Psi 3, arrivals Dadbo 1. Okay, so if we go departure, runway 07 for the Psi 3. So 07 for Psi 3, apply, and then arrival is going to be runway 15, Dadbo 1 and RNAV. Runway 15, RNAV, and Dadbo. Why is it not there? Oh no, that's the vectors, sorry. Standard terminal arrival route. We can probably leave those alone. Have we got a particular one on here? Dadbo, Gokun. It's Gokun. Okay. And we said it was the Dadbo 1. Okay, there we go. And apply that. Then go and look in the flight plan, see if we've got any discontinuities, which I'm expecting we should have. And no, it's cleared them up. That's quite cool. Okay, maybe it's quite clever. So Gcook is saying if you press on the yellow tick mark on the EFB flight plate, you'll load the plane fully. Oh, you mean as in program the flight plan as well? Whoops. So if we go and look in the flight details and click on that, it hasn't got a tooltip either, has it? Should we see what happens? So will it have pushed that into the McDo? I doubt it somehow. Anyway. Where can you get the E195? I bought mine from Contrail, I think. I think loads of places are selling it now though. It's in early access at the moment, and the developers are, you know, very... There's a placard that comes up when you load the aircraft that warns you that it's only in early access at the moment. I haven't put the performance data in yet. Let's go do that. Performance initialization. So next page. 0 fuel weight. Can I remember the keys to do this? Control 9 is it to get to the tablet? Yeah, it is. So ground has got the weights on it. 85140. So is it control 4 to come back? Yes. So 85140 is 0 fuel weight. And next, and performance, takeoff performance, wind. So wind on the ground at, we can just pick this up from LittleNavMap, is 57/12. So 057/12. Drop that in. And next page. We can leave all that alone. Flaps 2 is fine. So go to the takeoff data. It's got the numbers there for rotation, which is good. So I think we're good. Okay, so cockpit view. Calibrate the barometric pressure. So press B and we'll get the... I think it's always accurate in this aircraft. Unless you're in standard, I think it will default. Whether the developers have just done that, but it seems to default always to the local. We'll just double check that. So if we pull up Kingsford Smith in LittleNavMap 1015 or 2997, 2994, that doesn't, and B is not changing that, so that's wrong. That's the minimum, is what we're doing. There we go. So we'll also go and set the runway heading. So 61 degrees. So let's do that. So something I got tripped up by the other day was the trim levels. I'm going to have a look at that when we get to that in the checklist to see if we can get... Yeah, there's an indication here of the trim. So I'm going to... There's a green area, or there should be, because it went very nose down, if you remember. So I'm going to put it on towards the top end of the trim, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, so I've done the heading. I haven't set a target altitude yet, so we're going to go straight for cruise. Altitude selection. So we're going to go for 36,000. That's interesting. Oh, here we go. We can push it to go... Ah, feet or meters. So how do you set hundreds? Interesting. Just reading the live stream comments to see what everybody's saying. Oh, okay, so G-Cook is saying that, yeah, the yellow tick in the EFB will do the calculations for you. I've forgotten where I am now. So we need to get the flight directors on. Just check they are on. Yeah, we got the little marker showing up. We can go and pre-select the navigation mode. So we'll go heading mode directly off the runway. It's interesting though that it doesn't show heading mode there, but if we went for nav, it will show it pre-selected. So that's fascinating. We saw the other day the vertical speed mode didn't do anything when it was pre-selected. That may be an issue with the early access version of the aeroplane, so I won't select it until we're in the air. So it should go for pitch hold mode, you would hope. It may even be true of the nav mode. Does that cycle? Yeah, we'll select nothing until we engage autopilot, which should go pitch and roll hold, and then we can tell it what we're wanting to do. Be interesting to see what it does. Okay, so we can also set the target auto throttle speed, so we'll go a bit faster than that. We'll take it out to 180. So, Control 8, we're going to go and turn on the no smoking sign and the seatbelt signs. And then on the central pedestal we are going to lock the cabin door. Then back overhead we're going to go and put the red beacon light on, and we're going to perform pushback. So we haven't got any chocks, have we? I can't think I've put any in. We need to get rid of the GPU now before we do anything, so Control 9 takes us to the tablet. I will remember the shortcut keys one day. We can get rid of all these things away from the aeroplane as well. I didn't see any of those extras. Maybe the assets aren't there in this early version. So we'll press Shift P. And while the pushback is happening, we can start the engines. So in this aeroplane it's actually remarkably straightforward. Now I think these should stay on start for a time. But obviously you'll see the numbers coming up now. It's interesting as well, I noticed that the APU bleed is on by default. Whether that's accurate, again. Why are we flying Flybe? Because there aren't many textures for the aeroplane and it's quite a nice looking one. So let's get the brakes off and let it roll. Have a bit of a queue to get down to the runway, unless we just dodge aeroplanes along the way. Yeah, there are some advanced states. Just reading the live stream chat, there are some comments. Hold the mouse on top of the altitude knob and look for the up arrow, then you can set. Oh, okay. Okay, let's let the truck go. Let's put our wheel brake back on for the moment. APU bleed, we can actually leave it. If it's automatic we can leave it. So APU master to off. So APU control is over here. Hydraulics, go and put Sys3 pump A onto on. Flaps I've already done, and Control 8, so we're going to put the taxi lights on. just the nose ones and the side ones. Okay, so we can taxi. So I'm going to... Oh, let me just check something. Did I set the controls for the E-Jet? I don't think I did. Oh, I did. That was handy. Resume. The only reason we pushed back in a straight line and didn't control the tug is because I haven't got any add-ons installed at the moment to do that. It's interesting to see what's around, isn't it? Because we're running FSLTL, we're seeing all the real traffic. Don't know if you're aware of that. FSLTL simulates the actual real traffic movements. So it sets it up and gives it to the simulator to continue on with it. So then the simulator fills in the gaps for doing ground movements and things like that, but for the actual flight plans, they are more or less accurate. There's a lot of aeroplanes around, aren't there? We should do this from outside so we get a better look. I wonder how the simulator handles humans being amongst the simulated traffic, because we're going to do a right turn here and go down for runway 07. I wonder how it handles that. So if I was to leave myself parked here, for example, would he slow down and wait for me? Yeah, he's waiting in the runway, which is a bit stupid. He should have gone another 100 yards, shouldn't he? I do hope he's going to move his tail eventually, otherwise he'll be an hour away. don't like the elongated look of the aircraft. That's to do with your camera settings. By default, it tends to be quite fisheye. That's probably a bit more like real. But by default, to fit a lot on the screen, Flight Sim has got a very wide-angle lens. Whereas if you bring it in, it changes the geometry of the camera. Yeah, so it's down to however you've configured the camera. It's like in the cockpit, I should be, well, if you look at the balls there, I should be about here with about that field of view. But people tend to have a wider angle without even realising it, just because it allows them to see more. But it does, yeah. The stretched out aeroplanes tend to be because people have actually got it on wide angle and they don't realise they've done it. But they tend, people tend to sit back a lot further than you really should to see more instruments. I'm hoping nothing's going to come in on runway 07 because obviously we're not using ATC. He's cleared the runway now, which is good. Just going to sort out this view here and bring down the range on it a little bit. Just so we can see the turn for the takeoff. Okay. Go and put the landing lights on. Where's he going? I love leaving airports and seeing where we're going. It's very cool, isn't it? Right, nose down a little bit. Just watching the airspeed. We want to be accelerating gently. Coming out to that first turn. It's a hell of a view leaving Sydney, isn't it? So, straightening up. And out over the bay. Okay, autopilot on, and let's see what happens. The vertical speed. And we'll put nav on now. So we've gone a little bit off route. It's interesting to see how viciously it turns to get back onto the track. Also, where's the flaps? Well, we're at it. Better keep an eye on this for a moment. So we can increase the speed, put the auto throttle on. I'm going to turn head tracking off for a moment so I can do this accurately. And I just want to go and check where's Navigraph. This is not going to give us. Does anybody know the? Oh, I can get it on LittleNavMap, can't I? Transitions 10,000 feet. Okay, that's good. Got a little while yet. Well, where did all the cloud come from? Oh, there went our view of the city. Doing for heights, coming through 8.5. That's interesting. So autopilot's on vertical. Oh, I've just got vertical speed on too steep, that's all. 1600 should be fine, that will allow it to accelerate. Second in command, Zhu, whatever that is, Zhao. Should we have a play with the head-up display? Because we can. And increase the range on the map now. So there's 10,000 feet, so the landing lights can come off and the taxi. Strobe should have been on the runway. I missed that completely while we were busy chattering. That's why they have two people in the cockpit and checklists. Disregarded the end of my own checklist completely. Should we go and turn TCAS on and see if we can see some of this traffic in the area? Be interesting, won't it? So it's in radio, isn't it? Start the TAR8. Do we have to do anything in here? I don't think we do we? No. So do we see aeroplanes now? We should, you would think. TCAS. Maybe that's not operative on the map yet. Unless we can do it here. Oh, we can. Because if we look on LittleNavMap where we can see the simulated aircraft, obviously we can see ourselves. Oh, there's not much around. Not flying this route anyway. Look, there's a King Air coming past, but he's down at 2,500 feet. So he's obviously not going to show up anyway. So we're turning at Olsom. We can increase in speed now as well. Now we've obviously climbed through 10,000. We should go to standard as well on the barometric pressure. So let's do that and increase speed significantly. So notice it's saying it's flashing on limits. Let's do flight level change as well to go the rest of the way and let the aeroplane climb at the rate it wants to. So it will probably dip the nose now to get the speed up and then raise the nose again. It's funny, whenever we get into, or whenever I'm in a new aeroplane in the sim, I'm interested in trying out all the different modes. That's why we were in vertical speed mode. We really shouldn't climb on vertical speed mode. I was just playing with it to see, you know, what I could get away with, really. Because obviously for the real aircraft, the crew memorise numbers for different configurations. Whereas we get the opportunity in the simulator to try things without any risk whatsoever. So it's saying we're going to get there at midnight. So it's going to be a bit of a cruise up the coast. It's quite a long way to go. So the orange aeroplanes are the ones being drawn in by FSLTL. If you've never seen FSLTL, here's all the traffic that it's managing. Pages and pages of it. So this is all the events happening to the various aeroplanes in the airspace. So it will start drawing in air traffic at our altitude in the nearby vicinity. So you can see it's starting to put things in at 36,000 feet. I'm not sure if we turn labels on, if we'll be able to see them. A bit odd. Okay. Let's get the HUD out of the way, we don't need that on. Coming up to 20,000 feet. 310 knots, flaps are up, gear is up. Can make a cup of tea now, can't I? I'm just looking at the live stream comments about FSLTL. So Mowgli's saying no VNav. I've not tried it yet. I wouldn't suspect so. VNav's incredibly difficult to program. It's almost a software project in its own right. So although it looks like one little button, when you take into account what it's having to do with following, you know, all of the restrictions you've put in and the various laws in place. I mean, the Airbus is a masterpiece, really, and this has got similar to Airbus systems in it. So, yeah, the programming behind VNav would be enormous, probably more than the rest of the aeroplane added together. Just the lateral routing always amazes me, especially things like the PMDGs. When you see the accuracy that they draw the routes in for the, you know, the turn radiuses and figuring out what they can and can't do, it's very, very clever. But if you take into account VNav is doing that, including airspeed and restrictions and weights and thrust levels, and it's absolutely insanity. So it's no surprise that a lot of the complicated airplanes don't have VNav. Obviously the Airbus, the Phoenix has it, the PMDG 737s have it. Did I hear that there is it a 777 coming from PMDG? Or are they doing the 747 first? I'm not sure. Speed brake lever disagrees. What's that all about? I wonder if it's something to do with the control configuration. Because I don't think there's any sign of speed brakes being engaged anywhere. Looks fairly clean to me. So with us getting fairly high in the climb, I'm going to turn off the seatbelt sign and let everybody go to toilet. It always amazes me on flights. You'd think, you know, people have been sat in the departure hall for ages and they've had their chance to go to the toilet, and then the moment the light goes off, people make a dash for the toilets and think, how small is your bladder? It's just, it always amazes me. So literally they can't last 20 minutes. Or maybe they didn't go before they left, maybe they're not sensible. Just looking around at some of the systems on the aeroplane. It's amazing how much it doesn't have, because obviously it's automated to the nth degree. So 777, 737 MAX are next for PMDG. 737 MAX are starting from scratch. I wonder why. Okay, so Phil G is asking what VNAV is. So nav in this aircraft, you can see it calls it LNAV on the display here. That's lateral navigation. So if you imagine looking at a map of your route, the aircraft will steer along the route if nav is switched on. Okay, if it's in GPS or FMS mode as it calls it in this aeroplane. So if you've got a programmed route of waypoints, let's look at it on the map. So following this yellow line is LNAV, or lateral navigation. Vertical navigation, I'll put a visual aid up here for you. So there's our route. Obviously I've not got the correct estimates on here because I've not got performance file for this aeroplane, but if we were in a 737 MAX, these would be the rough approximate climb altitudes, and we haven't got a complicated approach here or even a standard instrument departure. There were no step climbs in it anywhere, you know, altitude restrictions where we had to stay at a height for a time or anything, but VNAV would do that for us. Yeah, so if you had, oh, let me go and turn off. I've got I've got a messaging program running somewhere. That's interesting, it's not showing up. Oh look, the wind has changed. Where are we? That's the wrong knob. Where's the speed? Oops. Speed. So we need to get this target airspeed down. So what we're doing, if you look here, yeah, we're flying into a 14 knot headwind, which just tipped us into the overspeeding. So I'm just bringing our speed down. The interesting thing is though, VNAV doesn't just take over the pitch control of the aeroplane, it takes over the throttle. So it controls your speed and your climb rate or descent rate fully automatically, according to the flight plan. So if you've got speed restrictions and altitude restrictions in the flight plan, so very, you know, below 10,000 feet, for example, being below 250 knots, it will do that for you. So it will decelerate in time, it's very, very clever. So Dare is saying he's just picked up the 190-195. I mentioned to my father, who is a retired pilot from Flybe, which he flew the 175 and later flew the 195 in Origny. I know that's not how you pronounce it. Origny, is it? He is excited to fly. He is 67 now. I did warn him. It's not, yeah, like we were just talking about, the VNAV is missing, I think. I've not tried it yet, and I daren't try it. I didn't program everything in anyway for it. But I was just explaining to some of the others that have never seen VNAV or didn't understand what it was. If you have in your route restrictions of altitude and speed, then VNAV will follow them. So you'll set a target altitude maybe of 36,000 feet. A classic actually, if we go and look at a map, Let's have a look. If we were to... Oh no, I'd have to change the route, wouldn't I? But say on this route out of Sydney, just for argument's sake, say there was a 10,000 feet height limit until you got to Old Simbrief, which there isn't, but if there was, then VNav would climb out, get to 10,000, say here, and then stay at it, and then start climbing again. So we've got somebody on the same route alongside us. If we go and look outside, they sit on altitude 22,000. We're already at 34, so they're way below us. We might be able to see them. Well, they're more over there somewhere. Hopefully. Sometimes you can see the nav lights twinkling away. How far away are they? So 4 miles away? You'd imagine you'd see them. I bet if we turn the time, we'll see them. You'd expect to see their nav lights, wouldn't you? Oh, there they are. It's very cool, isn't it? Right, should we go back to real time? Yeah, you can't quite see. If the sun was glinting off the fuselage, you might be able to see them in this view, but otherwise, unfortunately not. I was just saying earlier, the only reason we're in Flyby colours is because it's one of the textures that comes with the 195. And I couldn't find a Qantas yet, so I'm sure somebody will go and make a Qantas for it. But I don't think Qantas operated them, so... So the mountain range over here, we're just flying alongside. The Barrington Tops National Park is what we can see out here. Aha, we're showing it with labels now. I'm not sure FSLTL traffic shows up as labels though, does it? I think they're labelless. These are going to be other players. So we'll turn those off. How are we doing with the climb? Hey, we're just about to level out at 36. Brilliant. Flight level 360. Should we increase the range on the map now? And maybe turn some of the features off. So it looks like the FSLTL traffic is not showing up on TCAS, although it's still 10,000 feet below us, so maybe it wouldn't show up. It's only 2 miles away. And he's gently climbing. So same route. Let's have a look at Navigraph actually. It's interesting because Navigraph won't give you as much information as LittleNavMap often will. So you can see here we got H252J, and oh, this won't tell you either. Obviously, if you look up the classifications of the airspaces, you can find out what that means in reality. Okay, so we've got a bit of a cruise to do until we get to our destination. So I'm going to leave this on the screen for a while and stop my inane babbling for a while. I'll put this LittleNavMap into minimal, whoops, wrong one, Windows, open window. Oh, of course, I've moved everything, haven't I? C drive, users, me, documents. I need to move things around. LittleNavMap files, layouts, minimal. I'll put this over here so people can see where we are on the route so far. We're just coming up to Brisbane, but that's not where we're actually going, is it? That's a better view. And I'll hide the taskbar. That's better. Okay, so let's have a look at the live stream comments. There is an Alliance livery which is Australian. Do you mean Star Alliance or just Alliance? Because Star Alliance is a commercial thing between several airlines. I've been having trouble loading flight plans in LittleNavMap via load save in Flight Sim. Is there a better way? Would that be because you've got different data in LittleNavMap than in the simulator? Something to be aware of if you have or haven't got Navigraph. If we go and look at our LittleNavMap, in the scenery library menu, you can turn off Navigraph if you've got it. It's got an automatic, that's new. It's got an automatic setting now, so if the data is there, it will use it. But if you've been modifying the scenery, like loading new scenery in, you need to go into LittleNavMap and load the scenery library again. So if Flight Sim's been updated, or if the AirAc's been updated, you know, during one of the big updates, you need to load it, otherwise there'll be a difference between what LittleNavMap thinks it's got and what the simulator thinks it's got. So then when you try and put a flight plan into the simulator, it won't make sense to the sim. You'll be asking for waypoints that don't exist, maybe, or procedures that don't exist. Hopefully that makes sense. For those of us that have got Navigraph, it is a real bind, because as soon as you get a Navigraph update, you have to go and update all of the airplanes. Well, thankfully, I think it will run while the sim's running. I'll just show you it if you haven't seen it before. There's this thing called Navigraph Hub. So you'll get an update to the AirAc cycle. You can see here, look, the G1000 plugin has got an update available, but get an update to the AirAc cycle. So new waypoint data from Navigraph. And then you'll be invited to update all of the airplanes who have their own databases that don't just use the simulator, including things like the Phoenix. So yeah, it's a real pain in the backside. You can also update LittleNavMap from here, so you can go into the Navigraph data manager and it will list programs, and I can update LittleNavMap from the Navigraph data manager and it will update that database. But it's not the main one. What it's doing is updating that AirAc cycle that appears in the menu if it's present. So it's essentially a copy of the Navigraph database that LittleNavMap is able to use. just coming out to the Gold Coast in a little while. So I'm going to check out for a bit. I should leave a little message on the screen or in the live stream chat, shouldn't I? But I'm not going to be around for a few minutes, so I'm just going to cut my own microphone. I'll be back in a bit. Just occurred to me I need to just do a gross check of the flight plan after having been caught out by this the other day. Yeah, so that's looking fine. We could go into plan mode, and I think I better change the zoom level before I do that. And then plan mode will let us... Oh, we can still do it here, like on zoom level. I thought it might not, but we can flick through waypoints just to do a gross check and make sure it's looking okay. Yeah, that's fine. Right, I'll catch you all a bit later. Okay, so just while we're en route, I thought it might be interesting to have a look around and see what some of the guidance information looks like. So we've got a 60 knot crosswind at the moment, which is obviously where we're tracking away from the plan to hold the line, which is good, so that means the aeroplane is doing that quite nicely. But I thought it might be interesting to see what information we do get in the flight management system. So we've also obviously got the flight plan page, which is going to show distance between legs, or leg distance I should say, and the bearing of each waypoint. Got the route page is just the basics of what we programmed in at the start. So obviously on the pages you get to see the basic routing information. I'm not sure what else we get, to be honest. Yeah, there's bits and pieces that aren't implemented yet. That's interesting. So you get very easy access to the thrust for the different phases of flight. Radios is straightforward. Just go and set the nav radios. So to switch over to nav mode, you just press the VL button and the indicators turn green. Obviously this is showing deviation from the GPS flight plan. There's a steep approach button. I've not tried it yet. I'll have to do some testing with it to see what that does. Just looking around the aeroplane. I can't remember what that was. That's rather handy, isn't it? So presumably we could put in our destination airport. Let's just turn this back around, by the way. It's a bit silly there, isn't it? So let's put in our destination. So we're going to Rockhampton, YBRK, Yankee Bravo, Romeo Kilo. It's interesting you have to use the keyboard and not have a pop-up keyboard. So we're going to look at approaches. RNAV 15, wasn't it, we're doing? And I think, from memory, we're doing the Gokun. Can we pin these? I don't think we can. Okay, that's okay. It's not a huge problem. So we were doing the Abbas 1A, was it? Or was it Dadbo? Yeah, it was Dadbo, wasn't it? Yeah, there we go. So we're coming up here, going to Gokun for the approach. Okay, so let's have a look at this for heights. Max speed 250 below 10,000, yeah, that's obvious. It's interesting, sometimes you see different presentation methods on the charts. So Navigraph's had its rendering bug. It's always had that bug. I don't know if they're ever going to fix it. So let's pull up Dadbo here and see if it's the same chart. It looks similar, doesn't it? It's not exactly the same. Transition level 10,100. Okay, so just thinking in terms of LittleNavMap, if we go and open the window layout to default again, so we can see all the bits and bobs around it. What I was interested in seeing is what this says in terms of restrictions. Yeah, so it hasn't really got anything written in for Dadbo. So we're pretty much own navigation until we get to 4,000 feet, or vertical navigation I mean, or 3,500 feet is the only limitation when we get to Burkini, or Berkney I should say. Interesting. Yeah, it'll be fascinating to take the 195 into London City on purpose, just to see what the steep approach button does. So, does this imply that we can pull the clipboard out? So what did that just do, pulling that out of there? I'll have to have a look at it. It's not immediately obvious what some of the options in the cockpit are for. So there's things like the card here, which you can put in various places. It stuffs it all over the place around the cockpit, and you can lose it. Then you end up looking around the cockpit to find out where the card's gone. Obviously you can click back on here to make it reappear. Whether you can click here as well, I'm not sure. But there was something in here before I clicked on it, and now it's vanished. So whether that's some functionality that's not finished yet, I'm not sure. You can make the serial number of the build of the aeroplane disappear by clicking on it as well. It fades away. Sun visor storage. Oh, it's the sun visors. You can actually, they unclip, that makes sense. Okay, that's what those are. So those can be attached or not to the windscreens. Interesting. Can we open any other panels? I haven't looked through any airplane properly since getting it, so is this locked at the moment? Yeah, it is. Let's go and unlock the door. Let's go for a wander, shall we? Oh, we can adjust the seats backwards and forwards. Never noticed that before. Okay, so unlock the cabin door. Seems a bit odd when you can't see them, doesn't it, to hear them. Is anything open right here? They seem to have done everything else. I wonder, can we play music or anything like that? Where's the entertainment control buttons? It looks like it's going to be clickable one day, but it isn't yet. Okay, we're turning off towards Brisbane. Okay, so just going over the top of the Gold Coast. You see this, it's hugely built up here, isn't it? It's interesting how you can see all the layout of the lagoons where they've been engineered to have development on them. It's very, the patterns are quite distinctive, aren't they, in places? It's almost like Maori designs. I'm sure it's entirely functional, whether that was intended from the start, that they'd have these patterns in them. Okay, look, we've got a 3D issue going on here. There's no centre in the engines. I guess we have to remind ourselves at every turn that this is early access. This aircraft is not complete yet. The quality of the rendering is just incredible, isn't it? Overhead view as we pass over this part of the coast. It's quite cool, isn't it? If you zoom in a little bit on this map so we can see the exact areas that we're flying over. So this is not going straight for Godso. Have we got some other waypoints in play? Looks like we have. It's making me wonder now what's going on. Not that I'm paranoid about this airplane losing its way. Yeah, so we're going towards Brisbane, then out towards... Now, is this stopped rendering? We saw this happen with the other day. No, it's still on its way into Brisbane. We saw it stop drawing during approach into Hamilton Island yesterday. So if we pull up the flight plan page, we can see, yeah, 51. Why has the speed come off so much? What's going on with that? We didn't command 200 knots. Are the FSS E-jets worth a purchase? Flight Sim Studio, this is one of them. So this is the 195 or 190/195 package that is in early access at the moment. There's bits missing from them. The 170 is more complete. I think they're good. I know they had quite a lot of bad press early on because there was a lot not finished on them. But then I'm not an authority, I'm not a real pilot, so there are many real pilots out there doing YouTube channels, and some of them are very, very unforgiving. But I think as long as an airplane's fun to fly, I'll have fun flying it. I don't really mind. To be honest, when you get a challenge in the cockpit, that makes it fun for me. If something's not quite working, you have to start thinking out of the box of how am I going to achieve this, my aim, with a system that maybe isn't implemented or it's not working correctly. And you can always go back to heading mode or even manually flying headings and altitudes. In a way, when things go wrong, that makes it more fun for me. I know not everybody would agree with that. But so far this is tracking the GPS track perfectly well. So when we do get to the destination, let's have a look at Navigraph. So it's obviously an RNAV approach, area navigation, so we'll just make sure we're at the correct altitude and come in. I think it's going to be fairly good weather. We're going to have a look at the weather reports. We can actually, I keep forgetting this, we can pull the weather up in Navigraph now. So we just have to click on the sun. Oh no, that's daytime or night time. You'd think I'd know how this works by now, wouldn't you? We can also, for America, we can get FAA sectionals, which is pretty cool. Weather, here we go. So it's going to be clear by the look of it. Oh, there's a few bits of cloud look around, but nothing that's going to affect us. So we should have a nice, clean, easy approach. Can we pull up the wind barbs? So there's hardly anything to speak of. Visibility is all good by the look of it. There's some bad visibility up. There's obviously a storm system up that way. But turbulence. Any turbulence around? A bit out off the coast, but you'd expect that with the coastal air meeting the land. But not too much. Very cool. So we should be fine. But we've got a ways to go yet. We're only just coming up to Brisbane. So just looking at the time. Does it give us ETA inside the aeroplane? Let's have a look on the legs page. Or maybe on the route page it does it. No? Nav page maybe? If we're lucky? No? So it's only giving us deltas. We have got the original flight chart, flight plan that we made, haven't we? So, was that available in here? Does it give us a scheduled takeoff 2020, which was about when we took off, I think. Oh, we've got action over here, okay. Estimated about midnight to arrive into Rockhampton. Okay, so in about an hour's time. Hour and a bit. 83 passengers. And there's the flight attendants. We've got Ayu Pamatasari and Lucas Doe. Interesting. So if we look behind us now, we'll see Brisbane behind us. So I'm just reading the live stream comments about having the right attitude. It's not the right attitude or wrong attitude, it's just an attitude to have about, you know, it's an extra challenge. Yeah, there are certain content creators out there, I'm not going to name any names, that kind of wind me up a little bit, where they are very, very unforgiving. And yes, I can see their point of view. Because if you're a professional and you're expecting or hoping that a simulation is going to be a simulation of reality, and it comes short, you know, by a significant degree, and I can see the frustrations. But I kind of see the frustrations as an added element of fun. But that's probably says something about my mindset. So I'm a software developer in the real world, and when things go wrong, I tend to find that interesting. It's never-endingly interesting when things don't work as you expected them to. And quite often it's educational in discovering quite why they've done what they've done and not what you thought they were going to do. How much is the E195? Shall we go and Google it? Seeing as nobody else seems to understand how Google works. E190 Flight Sim Studios MSFS Aerosoft shop. Aerosoft is Contrail, isn't it? Same thing. €40. Obviously it will change that to your own currency, I think, automatically. Currency change. Dollars. Oh, they have a US shop. Interesting. They're probably to do with taxes and stuff like that. So if we go into flight, and there's the new aeroplane over here, $47, including 20% VAT though, which is because I'm in the UK, I guess. So that might be different for you elsewhere in the world. We obviously get taxed at point of sale in the UK. Sales tax or retail. So you have to take 20% off of that to get the pre-tax price, and obviously in your area of the world you may not pay as much tax as we do. I'm going to set this up to look nice on the screen for a little while, and I'm going to have a break from streaming. Just put the map somewhere neat so you can see where we are, and I'll go and switch my microphone off, so I'll be back when we get close to descent. Okay, so just to help out with those that might want to do a bit of sightseeing on the way in, we're going to drop down to 18,000 feet. So let's get the altitude selector. Now, someone mentioned earlier how to get the hundreds out of this. I'm going to have to scroll backwards up through the chat, aren't I? On top of the Alt knob and look for the up arrow, and then you can set hundreds. I don't think they've implemented it, you know. Not yet, anyway. Okay, so we're going to take it down to 18,000, so let's go and do a flight level change to get that. And watch the aeroplane dive for the floor. Now we're fairly close to the... we're within 10 knots. Ooh, is it going to take care of it in time? Looks like it will. So we're going to hopefully not be in the cloud, but we'll see. I don't think the weather may be our friend on the way into Rockhampton somehow. Was there cloud on the Navigraph charts? Yes. Okay, so it's going to get worse and then it will get slightly better, but it's cloudy. Okay. That's at flight level 220. Can we change that? What about 180? Okay, so it's clear below that. What about lower? There's another layer below, but it's not too bad. So we might be okay. So, okay, good to know. Should put the head tracking on for a bit. I better sit up, hadn't I? altitude change going. Should we try the spoilers out? I haven't actually tried them. See what they look like. Let's go and get a close look at the wing and extend the spoilers. Whoa, that's some serious spoilers. So presumably we can descend at a crazy rate. I wonder if it has a maximum descent rate maybe. – 6,700 feet a minute, crikey. That's mad. So you can see that area of cloud that was on the weather report that we'll be going through in a bit. So I put the spoilers back in, by the way. So in a normal glide descent, it can do about 2,000 feet a minute. That's not bad, is it? I was just dipping down below the cloud we were above previously, just so you get to see some of the scenery on the way in. So obviously we won't need to start descending till probably Dadbo now, because we've already got rid of the first 18,000 feet of our descent. And we expedited it rather alarmingly using the spoilers. So we should hear the engines spool up. And here they come. Can you centre the heading bug up just by pressing it? I haven't actually tried that yet. Yeah, you can. Very good. So something I've not tried at all yet with this is radio navigation. So do we have any... Oh, what's the range on the beacon at Rockhampton? 180 miles, that should be good. So what's that? 116.90. So we've got a little while until we turn, so let's put ourselves on heading bug mode and autopilot on heading, and let's switch this over to VOR navigation mode. There's the course knob, so it's going to be the direction we're going, which was 11690, wasn't it? So let's go to the radio panel, tune 11690 in, and should be slightly off to the right of our course, and there it is. But interestingly, I wonder how you choose what's on here. Why is it showing VOR2? Can we cycle that? Yeah, you just press it again. So then we can spin the course. So that gives you the distance measuring equipment then as well. Awesome. Okay, so this is how we find these things out. That's better. That makes a lot more sense now. So 100 miles out from the radio mast. They've got a bit of a rendering error going on here. Okay, let's put it back on nav mode. And we'll put it back on FMS. So it follows the GPS track instead of the VOR. And this is why we chose to come down to 18,000. Let's look at the scenery. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Actually drop down again to 12,000 so we get an even closer look. I'll leave the map on the screen while we're nosing around. So that's the klaxon telling us we're within 1,000 feet of our target altitude there. So it's just capturing the altitude now. You can see the engines are coming up. It's being reflected over here as well. exactly what just happened. Let's just set 200 again. There's obviously a bug somewhere, isn't there? That clunk corresponded with the speed dropping off a cliff. I mean, we're going to come back to 250 anyway, so we'll just set that ahead of time. I wonder if it's a reaction if we oversped, if the wind changed maybe. You'd expect an alarm though. I think it's something to do with my controls. I've had issues from day one with Flight Sim with the USB controllers. It may be to do with that. So I'm going to zoom this display in now. So I think it was the bottom knob, wasn't it? When you're in map mode, yeah. So we can get some idea, and that obviously gives you, that's it. I hadn't noticed this before, this is great. So next waypoint, distance and ETE. It doesn't give you a estimated time of arrival though, does it? It gives you that on the tablet though, I guess. But that's at the time you took off. Not at the, it's not a live estimate. It's a bit of a missing thing, isn't it? I wonder if the real one's got it. So on the flight plan page, if it gives you... I didn't have winds in here, did I? I wonder if it's not in it yet. I haven't seen anything about it. Oh, progress. This is what I was looking for earlier. There we go. So it's got the ETA. That's what I was looking for all along. So I did think we would get in a bit quicker than the plan specified, but I wasn't sure exactly how much. We can have loads of fuel left. Okay, let's have a look at the charts and figure out where we are and what we're doing. So if we go and open the window layout here, back to default, and make this wider, I'm showing the columns here in LittleNavMap. There's lots of columns in LittleNavMap that you can display. I'm showing the ones that are most pertinent to us. So you can see we're just coming in towards Dadbo. Old Ib actually is the highlighted line. But we don't have any restrictions, so we have to be above 3,500 feet basically when we turn in towards the approach. Visibility is good, so we should get great visibility. We got above 1,800 feet there at Birknough. So yeah, it should be interesting. We'll come past here fairly low, I guess. We can get the altitudes on the map if we look closely. So 400 meters. These are 20 meter lines, so 20, 40, 60, 460 meters, so about 1,300, 1,400 feet above sea level. And we'll still be at 5,000 by then, I would imagine, so we'll be fine. You can see other aircraft. That's somebody going the wrong way in, isn't it? What's the wind doing? 360 degrees. Oh my word, the wind's changed. Now, can we change this then on the fly? Show arrival procedures. We want to come in runway 33. The wind has changed. I'm just going to double check that. Yeah, the wind swung round to the north. That's a problem. So we want to go RNAV 33 and we're already on the Dadbo, I guess, so insert that one, we'll go straight in. Let's get this done in a hurry. So, arrival, runway, 33, RNAV, and we can leave that alone. So it's giving us some options. Let's go and have a look. Berks on Berksea. Berks J. Where's Berks J? Over here. Is there no Saris? Oh, there's Saris. That'll do. And we want the dad boat. Approach and apply it. So, is it got it? Yes, it has. So what have we got in restrictions now? We've got to be down to 3,500 feet by the time we get to Berksea, which is only 25 miles out, but we're only at 12,000 feet anyway, so we're good. So the wind changed en route. Like I said, when things like that happen, that makes it much more fun. So let's go and do this using vertical speed. Do we get a green banana on this? I'm not sure if we do. We'll find out in a moment. So we'll go and set our target altitude down to... That's interesting. So 3,400, and we'll go vertical speed. Can we switch this between... That goes between meters and feet. How do we get that to show? Oh, maybe once we go through the transition altitude, it will switch over automatically. So let's come down at... Do we get a banana on the map display? Unless we're just not descending quickly enough. If we do a flight level change, put the spoilers out, let's see if it appears. About 15 miles to go to lose 7,000 feet. No, it doesn't look like it shows it, unless it's just an option that I'm not... oh hello, I've just managed to reprogram that without touching it. Oh, vertical. Oh, interesting. Terrain. Okay, so I've somehow managed to figure out. Okay, you can use the mouse while hovering over the mouse wheel while hovering over the range. So there's those hills I was looking at that we were going to pass along the way. You can see the runway out there in the distance. Should we help the aeroplane slow down a bit? Yeah, we can't allow the flaps just yet. So the flight level change is favouring getting to the speed before descending, so it will suddenly do a step descent. But now we're slow enough, we can put the gear down, which will give us all sorts of drag, which is quite cool. Go, look, the nose has just started to drop. I'm hoping it will anyway. Watch the descent rate. 2100, 2150, 2200. It's not dropping that quickly, is it? So let's put the flaps out as well now. Should allow an element of crow braking. Yeah, look at that go now. Just dip the nose enormously. Should we put the head-up display on just for a bit of fun? So, put on the head tracking. Autopilot off, auto throttle off. Time for me to fly it. Do some speed. And we can get rid of the spoilers rather than using them all the way down. Oops, I knew that was going to happen. Is it me, or does that all look a bit huge? I guess it's okay. Just wondering if I've accidentally managed to zoom in the HUD somehow. I guess I'm too used to DCS. Yeah, because if we lean all the way forwards into the HUD, the collimation's a bit odd, isn't it? No doubt there's some way of adjusting it, but we'll put up with it for the moment. We're still going quite fast. I'm having a job slowing down here. We did come in high and fast though. I'm going to do away with the HUD, it's annoying me. not losing any speed, are we?
200. 50, 40.
This will be going to be a test of the reversers.
10.
Well, the reversers work. That's the fastest landing I've ever done in an E-jet. I think we're about 160 over the apron. It should be about 120, 130. Should go past the military jets. Taxi into the passenger area. So hang on a second, let's go and turn the strobes off. And the landing lights. I think we're a little bit too heavy for this taxiway somehow. Yeah, by a factor of 10 maybe. Of course, we've got nobody waving us in, which is always fun. Okay, so according to this, oh, actually we haven't got the APU on yet, have we? So we're just going to switch the APU on. Oh, can we use ground power unit? Presumably because we've got the tablet, we can just go and plug it in. Yeah, we can. And we can put the jetway in. Actually, not yet. We'll get the engines shut down first. So we need to put the GPU on first, don't we? Let me just take off the head tracking a second. Give ourselves GPU instead of bothering with the APU. Maybe it will only use it when the engine's cut off. Let's find that out, shall we? Yes. So you press it in and then it uses it automatically when it needs to. I thought that might be the case. Okay, so then we can request a jetway, put the cones out, put the wheel chocks in place, and open the door. Now, how badly... Yeah, it's misaligned, isn't it? Quite badly. Again, that's something else, I guess, they have to tweak as they develop the aeroplane. That's going to come straight through the wall of the aeroplane. I love it when things like that happen. Can you, make the jump seat work? No. That's a shame. What about the telephone? Nope. Yeah, hooray for... I'm just looking at the live stream comments. Hooray for reverse thrusters, indeed. Can we... No, we can't walk outside easily, but we can look at the view here. Anyway, there we go. More or less a successful flight, hey? And welcome to Rockhampton. Off to the cafe to get a coffee, I think. Right, I'm going to leave it there for this evening. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And I will see you again soon. I have no idea where we'll be flying next time or what we'll be flying. It'll be something completely different, it always is. So, yeah, I look forward to that one. Okay, so he's just driven off and left the door open. Great one. So should we go and jump back in and get that door shut? And put the engine covers on. So I don't think they've actually implemented those covers yet. Yeah, it's interesting that the nose, or they're not nose bosses, are they? The centre of the engines were not modelled when they were spinning. That was an empty hole through the engine. It's got the covers on the pitot tubes, which is cool. I wonder how they reached them to do that. Just have to have a service vehicle. Right, what are we hearing? Something nearby is... It's very cool with FSLTL, isn't it? We're seeing things like that in the background. You can hear a jet engine. Which one is it that's doing it? It's not him right over there, is it? Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. Going to leave it there. Take care, see you all soon.